making it. Yeah.
Hey, y'all. This is Halisi.
And this is Rick from our Black Utopia.
What are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to talk about how to plan an exploratory trip to move abroad.
How we're going to plan what?
An exploratory trip to move abroad.
All right. But first, if you are new to our channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please say hello in the chat and let us know where you're logging in from. So on this channel, we talk about money, travel, and retiring abroad on our way to generational wealth. About 6 years ago, Rick and I got a wake-up call financially. Oh, my God.
It was a mess.
It was a mess, right? We were close to retirement age. We looked at our savings and it looked crazy. So we changed the way we do things. And within 3 years, we went from negative $22,000 to over $800,000 in net worth. So if you are like us and you're in that situation, you are getting close to retirement age and you forgot to plan, we're your crew. We can hook you up. Keep watching, right? Yes. This is the spot. So let's get started. We are planning and have planned an exploratory trip to Portugal.
Yes.
And so we want to talk about, we're going to crowdsource today, right? We're going to talk about what we did to plan for this trip, but we'd like to hear what's missing, any questions that you have. If you're watching on the replay, put a question in. You know how YouTube works. They'll let us know. They'll let us know, and we'll answer your question.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
All right.
Answer the questions.
All right. So we're going to get to it, and let's see who is logging in here. Dion Marie from Las Vegas. All right.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome. This is a new name, so welcome. We're in Los Angeles right now, so we're 5 hours away. Las Vegas used to be our backyard when we lived here. We were going all the time, right?
All the time.
So welcome.
But we called it lost wages because you'd go and gamble all your money.
Yeah.
But if you live there, it's a whole different story.
It's a whole different story. So let's get started. What is the first thing that you do when you are ready to plan an exploratory trip?
Well, the first thing in my mind, and I would believe it would be in their mind, is where do I want to go?
Where do you want to go, right?
Yeah.
How do you choose where you want to go, right? And yeah, it's a big world, and the whole world is not the answer.
No.
So how do you do an exploratory trip? And the first thing you need to know is where you're going to choose. So the first thing that we did was write a list of all of the things that we needed to be happy, comfortable, that we wanted in our new place, right? And if we wrote that list out now while we were comfortable, when we got there, we wouldn't be so emotional and just fall in love with a place that did not necessarily meet all of our criteria. So write that list out of all of the things that you want from your new location. So what did that list consist of?
Well, the first thing that we kind of looked at was weather.
Yeah. So if you know us, you know that we are from Denver, Colorado. Well, first from Southern California, but we lived in Denver, Colorado up until a month and a half ago.
Yes.
And Denver, although is not as cold as people think, we're tired of that snow.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people want to run down south. They want to run to Florida and different things like that. But we wanted a whole different experience, I think.
I don't know if they can hear you, but yes, we wanted a different experience. We wanted to make sure that we were not still experiencing lethal racism. And we know in Florida, hello. That's all that needs to be said.
She's a political one, not me.
All right. So weather. Yeah. Weather was important to us. We wanted it not too hot. I don't like a lot of humidity with the heat. And I don't like a lot of humidity with the cold. So Denver was actually kind of perfect because it was dry. And when it was cold, it wasn't like that Chicago, New York cold, right?
No.
But it was still cold and we still had to shovel snow. And I'm so over it.
Yeah. I mean, but I love Denver.
We love Denver, but that has nothing to do with the snow.
No, it doesn't.
Cold, cold. Denver was great to us. We love Denver. But yeah, shoveling snow and doing all that stuff is not the ticket. Then the other thing, do you want to be close to mountains? Do you need to be close to water? Do you like being in the valley or what have you, So
Mhm.
those are the kind of things we want to be close to water. And I figured out after being a Cali girl and moving to Denver where you're landlocked that I need water. I need to live close to water.
This is true.
What
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I love the water. I love when we got a chance to go to the water. I mean, Denver has lakes and different things like that, but there's a big difference when you're from California and you've grown up in California and you miss the beaches.
Yes.
You
Yes.
do miss the beaches.
And we love you, Denver, but those things that you call beaches are not
They're not
beaches.
beaches.
They're not beaches.
They're reservoirs with sand around them.
Right, right. They are reservoir with sand around them. Chuck T can understand our sentiment regarding Florida and the aversion to shoveling snow, right? Chuck, I'm not sure if I have seen you in the chat before, so welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
We are glad that you are watching, and we see a lot of folks watching. Let us know in the chat where you're logging in from.
Let us know that you can hear us okay.
Yes, also, yeah, let us know that.
Our meters are showing that we're being heard, but we just don't know for sure. So let us know if you can hear us or if there's any issues.
Nubia Net is there in Northern California, Bay Area girl, or Sacramento. I get to be super picky. Yes, I need water also, right? When you're used to it. I mean, we were at the ocean about a week ago, week and a half ago. We drove to the beach. We're really just 10 minutes from the beach right now. But that's how I feel when I look out at the ocean.
Yeah.
Or even a major gulf or something like that, bigger than a lake. Maybe the Great Lakes would do. I don't know. Never been there. Never seen the Great Lakes. So let's keep going. What are the next things that we look for that's on our list for our exploratory trip?
Well, a very important thing is cost of living.
Cost of living. So when you are deciding where you want to retire to, or if you want to live and you plan to work remotely, cost of living is going to be very important. We do have some cost of living calculators that we link to in our Ready to Retire toolkit. So I will put that. That's also in the description, but I'll put it up on the screen right now. In our Ready to Retire toolkit are 2 links to calculators that really you can put in your search criteria. Say you want to live on $2,000 a month. If that's the case, look at our video, Best Places for Black Folks to Retire for $2,000 or less. So you can put in 2,000. You can put in your social criterias, your weather criterias, everything that you want, and it will pull up lists from all around the globe of cities, right, that you can move to. So that's what we did.
Because remember, if you're planning an exploratory trip, so you're going to live there.
Right.
You're planning on moving somewhere. You're not planning on vacation. Very, very different.
Very different.
And sometimes people will go somewhere and still be in that vacation mode. And, vacation mode is easy because it's, hey, you're there, you pay your money for your hotel, your Airbnb, whatever, and you're out eating and you're out doing other things. So when you're going to move somewhere, you got to really, really change your mindset on how to do, because it's going to be day to day.
It's going to be day to day. So even for your exploratory trip, you want to try and make it long enough so that you can live there. So we're going to Portugal for a month and we're leaving on Tuesday. So next week we will be live from Portugal and it will be nighttime for us. So we'll see how the lighting goes. But in any event, cost of living changes vacation to living. Yeah. When we're on vacation, we eat out basically every day. We do get an Airbnb, but it has a kitchenette. We don't try and get an Airbnb with a full kitchen necessarily. So we're warming up leftovers and things like that, but we're really not being that cost conscious. So when we go to Portugal, we're actually going to go to the grocery store. We're going to buy groceries. We're going to bring them back to our 2-bedroom apartment and make food at home and live in Portugal for a month. And
we'll do videos on that. We'll do videos on, going to the stores and shopping and different things like that, fixing meals, if you're interested in that kind of stuff.
Let us know in the chat what you would like to see in Portugal.
Yeah,
right?
Let us know.
All right. What's the next thing that we should consider?
You should always consider and look forward to finding out what the political climate is on where you want to go.
Explain more.
So you don't want to go somewhere where you got somebody that's running the country that is cray cray
Hello.
and might, things, situations happen to put you in a pickle where you need to get out of that country because you ain't feeling it.
Right. So, for instance, Brazil. Let's talk about Brazil. I have wanted to go to Brazil ever since I heard the song The Girl from Ipanema. And Ipanema is a beach in Brazil. And so that's a long time. Now that we are in a position to bop around and to go to Brazil, they have decided to elect somebody who is a little bit browner skinned Trump, who said he's going to make sure that all, I don't know if he said black people or brown skinned people or something like that, but he called us out by name and make sure that we know our place.
Yeah.
So you don't want to leave this country and then, especially as an African American, as a black person, and then end up in another country where you're treated worse because of the color of your skin. So what is the political climate towards us? And then what's the political climate in general? Like, I'm not going to North Korea.
No, I don't plan on North Korea anytime soon.
I'm not going to Russia.
No, I don't look forward to going to Russia. I would like to see Russia, but
Not today.
Not today.
I'm not going to the Ukraine.
Not going to the
Nor
Ukraine.
any of the countries that are directly around the Ukraine or that used to be part of the Eastern Bloc that are close to the Ukraine. This is just not the time.
You just want to be careful. You want to make noteworthy of different places you want to be and the political climate of it. So, it saves you a lot of headache.
Yep. So let's take a break and see who else is in the chat, because I see one of our girls. Hi, Ayana. So Ayana came to our program, our video production program, when she was a baby. She was 13 years old. And now she's in med school. Shout out from St. Louis. That's right. Dr. Shambe.
Dr. Shambe.
Oh my God. It brings tears to my eyes. It really does. I'm so happy for you, Ayana. I'm so happy for you. Nubinette's in Oakland. Okay. I live how I want to. I have to work overtime. I'm fortunate that I can do that, but it's tricky to maintain a balance. So I don't want to wear myself out.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I'm going to tell you, I was working 75 hours a week and taking care of my dad and doing the rest of the stuff that I was supposed to be doing around the house. And no. And here's the thing. One of the ways that we were able to retire, to decide and retire within 3 months is geo arbitrage, right? And that's what we're talking about here. So geo arbitrage is simply finding a place that is less expensive to live, bringing your money to a place that is less expensive so that your expenses go down. That's what we're doing. That's what we're looking for. And so the next thing on our list are social norms. What are the social norms of the places that you're looking at? And are they something that you can live with? Yeah. For instance, Adelia Aborshade and April of the Yarbros. So that's Adelia Borshade of The Picky Girl Travels the World, and oh my gosh, and April from the Yarbros, who are bopping around as well. Two of our favorite YouTube teams, or one's a team, they were telling us about China. And oh my gosh. So, and my mom said that back in the day here in the United States, when she was a little girl, what I'm about to tell you was pretty common. So I will say that China is about 70 years behind the time. I will be kind and say that. But what they said, inside, outside, no matter where you are, people are hawking and spitting. Like,
yeah, I ain't for that.
Like, you have to watch out in the mall, in the stores, not like just out on the streets or in the alley or something like that. And that is normal. and folks are just walking around like it's not a big deal. But for me, that would be a big deal. Added to the fact that now there are a lot of rural Chinese folks coming to the cities where most of the tourists go, right? And they have not really seen Black folks before. So they treat us as if we're zoo exhibits.
Yeah, you know, some places you got to be careful because you don't want to catch no case. You don't want to catch a case. You know, it's kind of unwinnable. So
Right.
it's like, yeah.
Especially if you don't know the laws. Because when we were in South Africa, I'm going to tell you. But this was quite a while ago. This was almost, 12 years ago now that we were in South Africa.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what are the social norms and are they acceptable to you? Let's take a break because we see Chuck T has been to Portugal. Portugal is a beautiful country. And yes, the geopolitical landscape is important to navigate safely now, isn't it? Yes, because Portugal was not always, right? They have not been a traditional or semi-traditional democracy for that long. They were still under a monarchy just the last century, in the later part of the last century. So yeah, very important to know the history of a country because that dictates who they are today and influences who they are today. And so Portugal was not originally on our list because I know what kind of colonizers they were. But things change.
Things change. People change. Things change. Just keep an eye on it.
So Chuck says the U.S. Department of State is a great resource.
It is.
Yes and no. So why do I say that? Yes, absolutely. Start there because they are going to give you what you would find in the news or something like that. They are also going to be talking from a white male's point of view. So, for instance, when we went to South Africa, they were having a problem with folks from what's
from north. So
what's the country just north of there?
Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe.
They were having problems with folks from Zimbabwe
Xenophobia.
coming down into South Africa and
taking their jobs.
Yeah. So, Zimbabwe's economy was collapsing. Folks were, running down to South Africa, which was more stable at the time and still is. And so they were getting stoned by the locals. The locals were like, no, we ain't got enough jobs as it is. And so love you. God bless. Goodbye. And so the State Department said, don't go. And we had already paid for our tickets.
And everything.
Knowing me, I probably didn't buy insurance saying, we going. I don't know. I don't remember. It's too long ago. But I had family members there and friends of the family there. So I called them they were living in Joburg at the time. And I said, okay, the State Department is saying this. The school that I was traveling with, because I was doing graduate work, was saying, no, they were not going to go. My uncle said, girl, you are from LA. Come on. It ain't nothing here. Come on. And so we went and it was absolutely no problem. But remember when we got to our Airbnb, the list of do's and don'ts that they gave us?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It was like fear mongering on steroids. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Not thinking about the fact that we look like we could be from South Africa. And so unless we're walking around like a target with big cameras, which we did sometimes, with big cameras doing one of these or on our phone and not paying attention, being a mark, we were just fine. Did you ever feel threatened?
No.
Not at all. But get this, guys, this is interesting. So I would get picked up every morning by one of my colleagues because I was teaching entrepreneurship to the kids there. And so most of my colleagues were white South Africans. I did have some Black ones. They didn't have cars. So I would get picked up by this lady who was very sweet. And one day, some Black men were walking down the street on their way to work at the end of the street. And they're just walking and they see us and they're like, hey, pretty ladies. And I'm like, hi. And she's like rushing to try and get into the car and hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And I'm like, what's the issue? She's like, we don't know. They might be trying to carjack us. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? They're wearing overalls with their name on their right here. They're obviously maintenance people who work down at the school right there. What are you tripping off of? But I suppose if you are part of the oppressive people, and you know what your folks have done, then I guess you walk around in fear. I wasn't afraid. I know our people, and I know folks who have that dead eye, that dead look in their eye and are up to no good. And I know when our folks are like us, just normal folks, right? And so the political climate, the social norms, and all of that, are they what you want to deal with?
You have to be aware.
And that just leads right into our next thing.
Crime and safety.
Where are you from? We're from Denver and LA. Denver's a lot safer than LA, but we cut our teeth in LA.
Denver's kind of getting like the Wild Wild West though.
A little bit, but it ain't nothing compared to here.
Nothing to LA.
Right? It's nothing compared to here. So crime and safety, you can also look. We've got our Ready to Retire toolkit. That it's the links that are in there, and the cost of living calculator also contains, you can put a filter for crime and safety. Do you want someplace that's very safe, like Portugal? You can either even go down to the city, like Lisbon versus Merida, Mexico, which is one of the safest cities in North America, right? So that the toolkit will help you with that. But crime and safety, for us, we wanted it safe, but it didn't need to be pristine because we're used to being aware.
Yeah, I mean, when you're from a major city or somewhat major city, you're aware of your surroundings. You're aware of what's going on. You know, that hair stands up in the back of your neck to know you when something's not right. But, you know, when you go somewhere else, overseas or something like that, you become even more aware. So you're not a mark. So people's body language, you watch people's body languages. If you don't, you need to start.
Yes.
You know, people tell you what they're up to. If they're over kind, and trying to be over helpful, and it's like, thanks, but no thanks. And you keep moving.
So I will tell you 2 pickpocket stories. And Sheeta's on the Loose told a story last week when she was in a cafe in Mexico, and she's sitting there. Her purse is right next to her. She's doing clickety clackety clack, and 3 people enter. She's kind of aware, a lady and 2 men. One of the men come and sit between her and her purse. One man's kind of over there. And then the lady trips and spills all of her coins on the floor. And at the same time, the other man who's with her is trying to block the view of the waiter. And the man who's next to her is scooting closer to her purse. So she grabs her purse, puts it in her lap, looks at the lady with her coins and goes, If the men with you are not helping you, then you obviously don't need help. So yeah, they were trying to snatch and grab or whatever they were trying to do. That's happening in LA today. We just heard from some colleagues, friends, associates of ours that the same thing is happening in LA. At the Beverly Center, for those of you who are from SoCal, at the Beverly Center, at the Grove, up there in Melrose area.
Yeah, I mean, it's desperate times. People,
but they've always been doing that, right?
Yeah, but it seems to grow and go and grow and go up and down. Just watch what you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't be walking around with your head up in the sky and stuff. Like, know your surroundings. Situational awareness, as Chuck T had mentioned.
Yep.
Know what's going on. When you're at home, know what's going on.
Yep, exactly.
It's no different.
Dia Marie says, Muslim countries don't appeal to me. Women don't appear to have as much freedom. I'm with you, girl. I definitely want to visit, and I don't mind wrapping my hair to visit, to show respect, to visit a Muslim country. And definitely we're going to do that. But to live and have to live like that every day, I'm not about that life. I am not about that life.
No, I don't think I would move to a Muslim country.
No, that would be tough. That would
I'd
definitely
love to visit. I have a lot of friends I have a friend from Morocco.
Yeah, so we'll definitely visit.
And, he's always invited us to come there. He lives in the States, but, he always inviting us to meet him in Morocco and do things and to have a great time. But,
Yep.
you know, I don't
Yep.
think I would ever want to live in Morocco, but I've never been to Morocco either. So
No, we've never been, but yeah, social norms, political climate, crime and safety.
I
These
could
are
live in Africa.
you're right, but all of Africa is not Muslim. So, and it's black. So that kind of changes the thing, as opposed to Northern Africa, which is a little bit more Arabic, right? But situational awareness, always, always, always. And don't hold your phone with one hand. So what? Just like this? I know people snatch. I've been hearing like you're out there taking a selfie, and in some countries, people will be driving by on a scooter or something, snatch it and keep going.
Yeah.
Yes, they will.
So be aware of that.
Yes, they will. So
You know,
come back and watch the replay.
you always want to be safe. You know, safety is the most important. You always want to be safe. So just keep your eyes and ears open.
Yeah.
And pay attention to where you are.
So what is the next thing on our list?
Well, pollution.
Yeah.
And there's reasons for that, especially if you have health issues.
Yeah.
You have asthma, you have, you know, COPD. I hope to God you don't, but any type of irritating things like that, you want to be careful of. So you can check the pollution levels in different places.
Yeah, and that also is in the Ready to Retire toolkit. I'm going to put that back up on screen right quick. So pollution levels and all of that are listed. So for instance, in Mexico City, just like in Denver, both of them sit in a valley. Both of them have very high altitude. And same with LA, we're in a valley. Mm-hmm. And the smog just kind of comes and just sits there right on top. And so if there's not strong winds to blow it out, if you are really sensitive to things like that, that's something to keep in mind.
Be aware.
So we've got the things that we checked off. We said whether we want to be in the mountains, near water, or something like that. Mm-hmm. Cost of living, political climate, social norms, crime and safety, pollution. What's the next thing on our list?
Next thing is very, very important, healthcare.
Healthcare, right? Most of us stay at our jobs because the job provides health insurance. Yes. And they don't provide healthcare, but
insurance.
Right, the insurance, because it's so ridiculous here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So like we were checking out insurance to mimic what we had with our employer, and we're talking about $1,000 per month just for me. And I'm healthy. I have no pre-existing, none, nada, zilch, nothing. $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year, $12,000 a year. That's an apartment. That's a house payment for some folks.
That's a couple car payments.
That's a few car payments in my world. That's at least 3-4 car payments in my world because I don't buy new cars, right? I mean, oh my goodness. So healthcare, what is the healthcare situation? 1, is it affordable? 2, what is the accessibility?
Yes.
Right? 3, is it good? You will find that there are a lot of places that have a better healthcare system and better access than the United States. And so the places that are on our list have it's either more affordable for us or they have universal healthcare. Portugal has universal healthcare. As soon as you become a temporary resident, you have access to that universal healthcare. You can also buy private insurance. I have looked to see what it would cost for my husband, who does have a pre-existing, and me to have private health insurance in Portugal, and it was less than $100 a month, up to about $150 a month. That was for everything, and in some cases included rental insurance as well.
Yeah, and one of the other things too with healthcare, going if you're traveling and doing these things, and you are taking medications, make sure that you can make sure you have extra medication, because you can have prescriptions done for a larger amount, 90 days, 100 days, or whatever, however long you're going to leave. Talk to your healthcare providers and find out what you could do. Some insurance companies won't let you have but so much of something, but, talk to them. Find out if you can. One. Two, find out if they have that medication in the country that you are exploring. Because
Yes.
there's a lot of things. I take a drug called Synthroid for thyroid, and I have to take Synthroid. That's the one thing that I have to take for the rest of my life. And they call it different they give different names to it in different countries. I think Portugal is called Letter. It's kind of made by the same manufacturers, but they
Interesting.
changed the name. In Mexico, I can't think of the name offhand what it's called, but it's called something different. Now here in the United States, it's expensive, but in
Without
Portugal,
insurance, without insurance, how much is it here?
without insurance for a 90-day supply, you're looking at over $150,
Okay.
and that's with no insurance.
And that was Costco.
Costco, CVS,
Oh, CVS
different
too?
places, CVS, because I get them from CVS.
Okay.
But that's for a 90-day supply. So I was fortunate enough to get a new 90-day supply plus what I had to carry me over for my exploratory trip. So you want to make sure that you do have the medications. And what I also did is I took my prescriptions with me. So when they filled my prescriptions at the doctor, I have copies of those with me. So if anything, luggage gets lost or anything like that, I can go to a pharmacy to see if they have it, because they're going to say, did a doctor prescribe this to you? And it has all the information. Plus I have all my doctor's information, to reach them, to contact them if anything needs to be done, in case of an emergency. But you
How
always
much
want
does
to
it
have
cost?
that
And
for.
any of them in Portugal. Did you see the costs?
I looked at some of the costs. It's way cheaper. And I don't want to say how much it is or anything like that.
When you say way cheaper, you have to have a range in your mind.
Under $50.
Okay. Under $50. And he's probably right.
I
think
under $50. In Mexico was even cheaper. Some places you go to also on prescriptions, and then I'll get off of it. Some places like Mexico, for narcotics, yes, you have to have a prescription and go and have them fill it. But for a lot of things that you don't have to have a prescription. You just go in the store and you can purchase it in a drugstore.
Yeah.
Just straight off. Number one. Number two, they have doctors in
the pharmacies.
Yeah. That can prescribe something to you right then and there. But they have to know, why you're taking it, if you were prescribed in the United States. So check those things out before, if you are on any kind of prescribed medicine, you want to make sure of that. Yes. Just to, common sense. Because you don't want to get somewhere and not have it, and they don't even have it. Then you got to figure out how to get it from the United States.
I think, you know what? We're going to add that to the toolkit. We will add some sites that you can go to see about drugs that mimic, drugs that are the same but called something different.
Yeah. Because
if you are close to retirement age, you might be on something, whether it's something for high blood pressure or diabetes or whatever. And so, yeah, I think we're going to add that. And so, hey, Tracy and Nika. So they are saying Spain has good healthcare too. I think we will look there. Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do.
And Spain has an easier visa process, not than Portugal, but than a lot of other places like Germany or the UK or something like that. So Spain is was on our list until Portugal beat them off of our list.
So just make sure you have the information and everything you need for when you are on foreign lands, that and know the processes.
Yes.
It's all you got to do. You can Google it. All the information is there. So, or you can find Facebook groups or whatever, or through us to figure out, what needs to be done.
Yes. $500 a month. A month.
Yeah.
We passed a law in Colorado that made it, it's against the law to charge this kind of money for insulin. It only applied to insulin, unfortunately. That's all we were able to get passed. But at least that. a medicine equivalency guide would be helpful for so many people.
Yes.
So we will find that. I know it exists online. We'll find it, and we will put a link into the Ready to Retire
There
toolkit.
is. There's a website, and I don't have the information with me right now. I apologize, but we'll get it.
And we'll put it in the description.
We'll put it in it. There's a website you go through, and you can choose the country that you're in, put the medication that you're on, and it will tell you if that country has it or not, and what the name of it is, and the equivalency of the dosage.
Oh, dosage. That's also important.
Because you want to know the dosage.
Yes. So if you see me looking there, our notes are there. So, and his notes are there. All right. So let's review. We are still trying to figure out where we want to go, right? You're looking at the weather. You are looking at, whether it's mountains, valleys, city, whatever you want. Do you prefer a big city or a small city? I found out when we were in Europe that I'm a city girl. I like big cities. I like the energy. I like all the people. I like the crowds. I love it. I love it. You want to check out cost of living. You want to check out the political climate, social norms, crime and safety, pollution, healthcare. And then very last on our list on how to choose where to explore is
language. Which I suck at. I'm sorry.
Can you learn it? And how many people speak English? So when I say, can you learn it? I don't mean to be demeaning. Do you feel like learning it? Right? Like Asian languages, for the most part, have a different alphabet. So not only do I have to learn the language, but now I have to learn a new alphabet. No, I'm not doing it. I know I'm not doing it. I'm just not. I will learn how to say hello, goodbye, thank you, and everything to communicate and be respectful. But other than that, no.
But then, you can surprise yourself too.
You can. Yeah. Some people are into it.
I never say never. But
never say never. That's right. You're right. You're right. So I've been taking Spanish for the past 2 years. And then we decided that Portugal is at the top of our list.
So now Portugal's the new one.
So Portuguese is now on our list, and I've got my Google Translate already and things like that. Yeah. The great thing about Portuguese and why it didn't scare me off is because we both took French in high school, and then I've been taking Spanish. And so when I'm looking at Portuguese, it mostly reminds me of Spanish, but there are some verbs that are closer to the ones from French. So I can pretty much read it in context. And so it's funny because Adelia would always say at Biggie Girl Travels, I know transactional Spanish. And I'm like, what is she talking about? But now I understand Spanish in context. So if you just come up to me off the street and start talking, I'm probably not going to understand you. But if I'm in the store buying something, if I'm checking into a hotel and I expect to hear certain words, then I can understand you and I can respond. My husband was very impressed with me with the Fix-It guy the other day, who was speaking a mile a minute. And he's like, you understood? I said, I understood 5 words and I got the context. Parking, car, where. Got it. Right? So can you learn the language? Are you willing to learn the language? Because we are not colonizers. We do not go and expect them to speak English. Although if they do speak some English, that will help with a soft landing, which is why Portugal is on our list, right?
Yeah. And Greta King, she just wrote and asked, where do you take Spanish lessons?
Hi, Greta. Saw you this morning. Good to see you again. And in our Ready to Retire toolkit and in our description, I have a link to a discount, a 70% discount off of your first lesson. So I take lessons from a lady named Laura, and she is a Black Latina from Venezuela who now lives in Colombia. And I had another one, Andrea. She's not on the platform. The platform is called Preply. There is a link in the description with a discount. And lessons, I have one-on-one lessons. They can be as inexpensive as $4 an hour or as expensive as you want to make them. And so I pay anywhere between $10 and $15 an hour for one-on-one customized lessons. And folks, if you want Laura, you need Laura, because Laura in English. This woman, is she good?
She's amazing.
She's amazing. I just love her. I love her. I love her. She might even be watching right now or watching the replay. The reason why I love her is because y'all know I used to do politics. When I was doing politics, she was giving me reading lessons from newspapers and things like that, dealing with the politics down there in South and Central America in Spanish, and sometimes talking about what was happening here, but in Spanish. And so I got to learn all of the nomenclature, the language, the idioms and stuff like that for political language. Well, now we're into travel and talking about money and all of these things. So the videos that she has me watching and responding to now are all about financial independence, how to handle money, how to, all of that. I love her. And I just love her. And so now I'm like, oh, that's how you say savings. She's like, you know that. We were talking about savings before. I obviously wasn't talking about it enough because I didn't remember the word. But anyway, La Hora is mine. Preply is the thing. There is a link down in the description. And again, they have all languages, as a matter of fact. So no matter where you're going, you can find local folks, native speakers who will teach you that language.
Some might thought it's not on the list, but I just wanted to throw it out there.
Okay.
Learn the currency.
Oh.
Learn the currency of the country that you're going to. I mean, euros is one thing, American dollars is one thing. And why I said that is because it brought me to mind when we went to Madrid. And we're sitting in Madrid in a restaurant, and this guy is serenading us. I mean, he's jamming. So I went, he stops and looks at you for the tip. I go to tip him. I pull out the old greenback. Here you go. He looked at me like I was insane.
And at the time, the euro was about it was like $1 equaled like 130 euro. Yeah. So now it's about dollar for dollar. But yeah.
I was like, dang, you don't want to, you don't want my money? Don't take my money then, because I didn't have any euros on me at the time, because we had just went out to get something to eat.
Yeah, we had just landed. We hadn't gone to the ATM yet. Speaking of which, when you go to don't get dollars, don't get the currency here in the States. Get the currency when you land, probably not at the airport, unless there's a bank there. Don't go to those currency exchange things. Just go to the bank, put in your ATM card, and get your euros, your pesos, your rand, whatever, out of the ATM. Do not accept their conversion rates. Let your bank convert it for you, because if they're offering you something, it's not in your best interest. No. So we got the ATL in the house. I have family down in Atlanta. My sister is in Atlanta, and my stepmom and other folks. Okay, I need to say, where is the bathroom and where is the emergency entrance, please?
There you go.
Où est le salle de bain? That's the first thing that I learned in French. Have you taken a look at the Foreign Service Institute's Portuguese course? It's free online, but it's what the Department of State uses to train diplomats. No, I have not. And thank you for that resource. Yeah. We will be adding it.
Yes.
Because everybody doesn't want to pay, right? Like if you want a customized lesson for you, with the words you want to learn, do a one-on-one. But hey, start with the free. Yeah. I like free. And so Southern Rose Tia D, thank you for that information. We will look it up and we will add it to the description. And hi, Venus. Glad you could join us today. So where are we at? We were just finishing on how do you choose a place. Now we're going to go to how do you plan for the actual visit. So what is the first thing that on our list that we did to actually plan for the visit? What are the entry requirements? Mm-hmm. What do you need? Just in general, right? We're Americans and we're very spoiled. So I'm thinking everyone that's watching right now probably has that blue passport. But if you do not, then you really do need to check those entry requirements. If you are going to a place that is not necessarily always on Americans' list, please, please, please check those requirements. If you are going to a place that you believe is always on the list, please, please check those requirements, because we're used to just showing up with our blue passport and they let us
And they let
in
us in.
with an automatic visa, tourist visa, okay, with no pre-requirements except for that passport. Things are changing.
They're not doing that anymore.
Things
A
are
lot of places
changing.
aren't doing that anymore.
Right? And so if you are going to, say, Indonesia, if you are going to even Morocco, we might have to get a tourist visa, which means filling out the paperwork way in advance. So whatever you're looking at, make sure you know what those requirements are so that you can backtrack and plan in advance for those. And then what are the other entry requirements we need to think about?
Oh my goodness. So now because of the pandemic, and guess what? We're not done with it. Everybody's kind of laxed their rules and different things like that. But you still have to know the entry requirements for the countries that you're going to and what their COVID rules are, because they change, and they change almost on a day-to-day basis. So we're flying from New York to de Gaulle,
to France.
And they have their COVID requirements are totally different to enter their country than Portugal. So you got to know when your plane lands in France that you have all the things you need to have in place. Are they accepting the CDC cards that we get?
Because they're all digital.
They're digital. We were not but America was like, we don't want that. You're trying to track us. Guess what? Social Security card, they already tracking you. When you're born, it doesn't make a difference. Okay. So yeah, your cell phones, everything else. So a lot of countries are saying, okay, we don't want to accept that. So you have to do this, and this just to land in our country. Or, you can't get off the plane. You got to figure something else. We got to detain you or something like that. So you need to know from where you're flying to know their rules. And then if you're just taking a connection to another place, you got to know their rules to get in their country.
Ordinarily, I would not have done that. Like, understanding because of the pandemic, all of these things, I would have booked a no stop flight, like nonstop flight from New York straight to Lisbon. But we use points, and we only paid $150. So because we're using points, I did not want to pay the money. We're suffering through the layover at de Gaulle for 2 hours. And we just got our second boosters this week because France requires that your booster is within a certain time frame from the booster is a certain time frame from your second dosage. And I was a couple of days off, so we both got
our
second booster just to be on the safe side. So there you go. So my arm's still sore, can't stand it.
Yeah. So just make sure that you know the COVID rules, because it's a totally different game out there.
Yes, it is. And changing every day. So you've chosen the place. Now, how to plan for the visit. Entry requirements general, entry requirements as far as COVID is concerned. And then what is the next thing that was on our list?
Okay, well, time of the year. The time of the year that you want to go. Most people will tell you, or a lot of people have told us too, so many people we're going to meet up with in Portugal. If you're going to go to a country, to live, to explore, go when the weather is the worst.
And that was our plan. So our plan was to visit Portugal in December of 2021. Yeah. That didn't happen. And so we're going, next week. Not the ideal time because it's good weather now, right?
It's great weather.
And so the idea is if you still love it when the weather's crappy, then when the weather's great, it'll be even better, right? So that's the idea about visiting when the weather is bad. But then the other thing that you need to think about as far as that is concerned is it off season or peak season as far as the money is concerned, right? So if you're visiting off season, obviously it's going to be a little bit cheaper. Yeah. We're visiting peak season.
Of course.
So it's more expensive. And Airbnbs are absolutely out of control. They're out of control.
We're doing it. Don't mean that you got to do it. So we're trying to tell you,
don't do
what we're doing, but we're doing what we're doing for a reason.
Yes. So we are meeting up with a bunch of folks in Lisbon and Cascais at the end of June. And so that kind of dictated our timing. And sometimes you might want to do that. Sometimes if you feel yourself procrastinating, if you feel yourself stalled, let an event dictate the date, right? And push you. I'm not sure, had we not had that meetup at the end of June, I'm not sure we would have moved as fast as we did. Right. Because we left a lot of things undone. We had the luxury of being able to do that, but we probably would not be going next week. So sometimes, if you know you're a procrastinator, let a date, an event or something like that push you
let it
forward.
Move you forward, because then you won't drag your feet.
What is the other thing that we had to plan for this exploratory visit?
So a very important thing to do is travel insurance. You want to obtain travel insurance.
Are you whispering?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Can you hear him? If y'all can hear him as well as you can hear me, let us know in the chat. And so when he says, hey, Tan. So when he says travel insurance, we're not talking about like when you're buying your tickets on United Airlines and they say, do you want to insure this trip? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about travel health insurance. And so there is a link in the description, as well as our Ready to Retire toolkit, to some various health insurance plans. But we're talking about travel health insurance, which will insure you while you're out there on the road, which will also cover your trip. So it will cover your tickets and things like that, your luggage and all of that, if they get lost or stolen, just like the thing that the airlines. But then it will also cover if you get sick during the trip. Make sure that it has COVID coverage. Will they pay if you have to isolate? What do you call that? Quarantine. Right? If you have to quarantine, will your insurance cover that? So that is a different type of insurance. And depending upon your age, it costs different amounts. So you need to plan that, factor that in. And so for us, it's costing $220 a month for that insurance. Yeah. And we bought it through Safety Wing. And we use the Yarbros link. Our link is in the description. So we believe in collaboration around here. There is no shortage of resources to go around. So getting back, right? Y'all. One of my surrogate moms was here visiting with us yesterday, who is so on top of everything. But she had not thought about using her credit cards as tools, because if you're not paying the interest because you're paying them off every month, right? You might as well get something out of these cards. We only use our cards for most of our purchases, and it's strategy, right? Okay, how many points do we have over here? Do we need some more points over there? Because these, work with these airlines, and this one works with those airlines, and bop to bop to whoop to whoop. We suggest American Express and Chase Sapphire. Those are our major cards that we use. And then the other thing is waiting and looking for when they have points sales. So what will happen is they'll say this month, restaurant, purchases are 4 times the points. Well, okay, then I'm using this card right now for restaurant purchases. When we got the points for Virgin Atlantic, they said your points are worth 30% more on Virgin Atlantic. So 1,000 points is now worth 1,300, right? Or 333. That sounds like it's on sale.
Yeah, sounds like it's on sale to me too.
Right? And so, yeah, let's use those things as tools. I got my shot from Walmart, and they offered a digital status of your shots. And so interestingly enough, Colorado does have digital ID and all of that. And so we're waiting to see if this next shot goes into our profile. We know we got an email saying they were sending it to the CDC.
Yeah, they sent it to my doctor, of course, they send everything to my doctor through CVS, but it also stated that it would send it to states that allow that, and Colorado is one of the states that allow that. So it will show up on our electronic card that we have on our app that we have on our phone eventually. It usually takes anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, but it will show up. But still, we hold on to our paper card, and we
Yes.
keep that with our passport to make sure when we cross a border that boom, we can show that.
Yeah.
And hope to God the rules haven't changed
In
and they
between,
accept it.
right? In between getting off the plane or getting on the
Because you
plane.
don't want to be put in COVID jail. I mean, there's not COVID jail. It's just
We don't want to
being
be
detained.
Yeah, we do not want to be
You
on
don't wanna
COVID
do
jail.
that.
No. Hey, Tanya, good to see you. Glad you're here. Definitely going during the worst time of the year is genius. I'll be sure to do that when I plan my exploratory trips. We cannot take credit for that. That is our rich journey.
Yes.
To
Ahmad and
Christine are our two of our mentors who are 10 to 20 years younger than us. Because, hey, I only surround myself with people who are as smart or smarter than me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And they are brilliant. They're a brilliant couple.
Okay, great. I'm glad that you can hear all of us and you can hear Rick, because to me, he's mumbling.
To me, I'm talking loud, too loud, and I don't want to yell.
I want to make sure that I pronounce your name correctly. Tunisia. I hope. Let me know if I'm pronouncing it. Welcome. I don't recognize your name, so welcome.
Yeah.
And so Latanya is my son's godmother, and I've known her since we were 10 years old. 10. All right, let's get back to our list. Okay. So we have talked about how you choose a location, right? If you haven't seen that, you're going to have to watch the rerun or the replay. We have talked about how you plan for your visit once you're there. My mommy is calling.
She always leaves her phone
on. She forgot we're going live. All right. So we have talked about how you plan for the visit, what your entry requirements are in general, the COVID requirements, the time of year, travel health insurance, and last on our list.
Hand me that right there.
Last on our list.
I won't show her face, but.
Cell phone coverage.
Cell phone. Something that we all have, we all need. It's a tool. And I mean, it's great. It's great for taking pictures. It's great for, staying in touch. It's great for everything. It's another appendage. So your cell phone and cell phone coverage overseas.
Yep.
So what do you think about that?
And so my mother is calling me back. So I'm going to go ahead and answer the phone and put you on speakerphone. You are now live on YouTube, Mom, and you keep calling me.
I'm sorry.
The whole world can hear you. We love you.
Okay,
Bye.
I'll call you back in 2 hours.
Okay.
All right.
Now she won't call again.
Yes.
Or for 2 hours. All right. Because, hey, we're live. This is what we do. We're not going to trip. We're just going to go for it. Right. So, yes, we love our rich journey. And I did pronounce her name right. So that is great. What service are you using for overseas? So what we did is, because we know we are moving out of the country, we switched to Google Fi. There's a link in the description. And for two reasons. One is because in over 120 countries, they do not charge roaming fees. For the exploratory trip, that's going to be no problem. But we want to keep our US phone numbers when we move. So for the month trip, we will get a SIM card in Portugal. And so you can, if you got a double SIM phone, then you can keep your US phone number on the eSIM or on the physical SIM, one physical SIM, and then use the other SIM as your local number. And so that's what we're going to do. Google Fi plus a local plan, Vodafone, or something like that. If you don't know about the local plans, there are Facebook groups for you. I'm going to say Exodus Summit is where you start if you are a Black female. If not, also look for the place you want to go to. So for instance, Portugal, there's Black in Portugal. Mexico has a ton. There's brothers and sisters of Mexico City. There's brothers and sisters of Merida. There's brothers and sisters of, yeah.
You won't have
All
any
right.
trouble.
So find your Facebook group and ask your questions. If it is not a Black Facebook group and it is a generic everybody come Facebook group, do a search for your question first, because they're not as
friendly
or patient
Yeah,
with
they're not as
newbie
patient.
questions. Like, we answered that 2 months ago. It's like, oh, okay.
You'll probably get an answer, but they can tend to be snooty
Exactly.
because they've already given that answer. So just beware.
Right? This is real life. This is real life. Mama's calling. Mama's calling. So yeah. The other reason why we went with Google Fi as opposed to just switching out a SIM once we got there. Because if you're like us, you're going to land, you're going to try and do an Uber, you're going to try to do a Lyft or whatever the local equivalent is. You need cell service when you land. And we depend on these things. There are many computers, and you don't want to be going through, going to finding in the airport where you can buy a SIM and all of that. That way you can get a SIM the next day. What if it's late? What if you land and it's 11 o'clock and you still need your Uber to get to the hotel, to get your Airbnb, right? That's why we chose Google Fi. If this is a one-off, you can wait. But we know that we're going to be away from the States for a minimum of 3 months. So we went ahead and switched.
Mhm.
All right, let's get back to our list. So we talked about all of the things that you are to consider when you're trying to figure out where you want to go. All the things to consider when you're planning your trip. Now, what to do once you get there. These are the things that we're going to be doing starting next week when we get there. So, what's first on our list?
Well, we already went through checking out the weather and in the worst season. So the next thing would be checking out potential neighborhoods.
Right.
In the cities during parts of the day.
Yeah, different parts of the day, because what's true in the morning, afternoon, and evening in a certain neighborhood could be stark different. So if you go, for instance, at 1 o'clock to view an apartment and it's all quiet and you need quiet and it's peaceful, sun's coming in and it's great, and then you move in and then the nighttime hits and your neighbors are out of control. And there's a bar across the street and they're doing live karaoke. What?
Find out about that neighborhood.
Right? So you want to visit that neighborhood at all different parts of the day, maybe different times of the week. You want to go, you want to walk around, and make sure that it is meeting your expectations, because neighborhoods can change from different parts of the day. The next thing on our list are all of the services that you will need nearby. One of the things that Rick and I want is we want a walkable experience. Yes. We don't want to deal with a car anymore. We don't want to learn these new rules. Well, I suppose if we want to take a road trip within a certain country.
If we get a motorized vehicle, it'll probably be a little motorcycle or a moped or something.
Scooter or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So otherwise, I'm just not trying to pay all of that car insurance and deal with all of
car
that.
Payments,
and in Mexico, it's a whole different thing. If you get in an accident, you automatically go into jail. And then in Mexico City, some days you can drive, some days you can't. And no. So I really want, and for our health as well, we want a walkable neighborhood. What do we need in our neighborhood? Pharmacy, grocery store, restaurants, maybe hopefully we'll be able to bring our dog, maybe a groomer and stuff like that. Write down the things that you need, walk around the neighborhoods and make sure that those things are in the neighborhood that you want, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What else can you think of? What else would we be looking for?
How close are hospital services?
Yeah.
If you need to go to the hospital, how close is the hospital? Do you have to hopefully not catch a helicopter somewhere or somewhere close? You want to know to be comfortable where things are.
Yeah, definitely. Pharmacy, urgent care, hospitals, things like that.
How far is it to the train stop or bus stop or whatever you need? We like using public transportation when we travel. So we want to know how close those things are.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say about hospitals, make sure, especially in the places that have public health care, if there's a public only, are there doctors there that speak English? If not, where's the closest private? Private usually will have someone, but check and double check to make sure. So that was the other thing. How long is your exploratory trip? How long should an exploratory trip be? We're taking 1 month in each of the countries that we're checking out, minimum. But, it does not necessarily have to be a month. I don't think it needs to necessarily be longer than a month,
Yeah.
but to figure everything out. But depending upon who you are and how picky you are, you might be able to figure that out in a few days. Now, do you want to travel for 10 hours to only be there for a few days if it's on the other side of the world? So that's something to consider as well.
Yeah.
But as far as how long it has to be, I think that depends. We're there for a month because I don't like to fly a long time for short trips, and because we can, and because it's cheaper to rent Airbnb for a whole month or for weeks at a time than it is for a few days at a time.
And know the visa processes too. Know the travel visa processes, the time limits, because you don't want to go somewhere and have such a good time that you forget in your visa, your
tourist
visa runs out, and next thing you know, they're looking to kick you out of the country because that's a mark against you.
Yes. Now, those of us who are from the United States, we are spoiled. We are used to 3 months usually minimum. But that's not the case everywhere. Some places, even for us, is only a month. So definitely check that out. Mexico can be 6 months if they want to allow that.
That's up to the officer.
That's right. There's places in Eastern Europe that are a year.
Yeah.
Right. So so check that out. Yeah, that's a good
Mexico.
point.
You can go to Mexico where it used to be 180 days automatically. It's not that way anymore. So you can go down there and the guy that has your passport says, what's your intentions? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Where you staying? And you tell him, oh, I'm down here for vacation. And he give you 2 weeks.
Yep.
He marks your passport for 2 weeks.
When's your return flight?
Yeah.
And we book one way. So not sure how that works.
So you gotta kind of know what's going on and stay on top of that because you don't want to overstay your welcome.
So let's get back to the medications, because now you've checked it out online. Now, what are we going to do when we get there?
As far as
making sure that the pharmacies near you have the medications that you need, that they've heard of it. Go in there and talk to them. So we've got the list, but now let's see what it looks like on the ground.
Yeah, you can go in there and you can ask questions. People are always willing to help out, and you can ask questions, find out which pharmacies carry what.
Yeah.
All pharmacies might not carry the same thing. So it's just always good to know.
And pricing.
Because
pricing varies here. So I would assume it varies there as well. So, so that's another thing that we're going to check out while we're there. Access to transportation, we mentioned. But there's something else that I wanted to mention about public transportation, and that's an app called Move It. And the reason why I like it is because you can put in directions like you would for a mapping app, but it will give you a lot better public transportation directions than Google sometimes does. So we used Google when we were in Spain, and it was pretty good. The great part about it is I can read it and I don't have to talk to anybody. So, because I thought my Spanish was good when we went to Spain. Yeah. My Spanish
better than mine.
My Spanish was Rosetta Stone and Duolingo, and maybe the other one, whatever the other one is. That was my Spanish. So I knew how to say, "Where's the red apple?" But I did not know how to say, "How do I get to this park? And are we on the right bus?" And he made sure that I knew that he didn't understand what I was saying. But we were on the right bus. We've got some more questions coming in. Crime rate. So in the Ready to Retire Toolkit, Tanya, you will find 2 links to some databases that will have the crime rates for every city. right? And so you can put in search terms. I want low crime. I can tolerate medium to low, you know, and it will pull up all of the cities, or you can just search for the city and see what it is.
Yeah. And there's crime is everywhere.
And
know.
safety is an illusion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really
It's
is.
everywhere.
And so my biggest thing is there racism lethal? And how lethal and what does it look like, right? There's racism everywhere. Is it lethal? Where can I get my hair done? Or as I say, where can I get my hair did? Do you have to worry about that?
No.
You didn't have to worry about that.
I could if I let it grow, but no.
Black hair and black hair care products, right? That is a thing for us. And so I'm taking extra with me, and I'm going to be searching for alternatives. One of the things that I like to do, because I'm just such a nerd, on YouTube, there are folks who walk around with their camera. They don't say anything. All they do is walk around, and they're called like walking tours,
Yeah.
video walking tours or whatever. And so I watched one that was recorded just a week and a half ago. There were so many Black people, I stopped counting. And so I am going to see for the neighborhoods that we're looking at, if there are enough Black folks nearby, that there are Black hair care products in those neighborhood stores. If not, I might have to go to the city center to Lisbon, but I will look. If it's a little bit of a hassle, I'm good with that. And then haircuts and things like that. Are there, even if they're not Black people there, if they're people with our type of textured hair, right? Then you might be able to find someone who knows how to cut 3C, 3B, 4B, 4A, 4C hair. So we will be looking. We will definitely be looking. Where are my hair products, right? And then something that someone else told me for the women out there is they just buy whatever is in the drugstore, and then they add olive oil or avocado oil to it. Mm-hmm. And they have 4C hair. And they say that usually will bring enough moisture back to do a good job. So our flight from New York I take that back. Our flight from Lisbon to Cancun is about 7 hours. Our flight, because we're not flying direct, going from New York to de Gaulle to France is 6.5 hours. Not bad. Not bad at all. And then we have like a 2-hour layover in France. And had I been thinking, I would have made it a 1-day layover, but I wasn't. So the 2-hour layover in France, and then the flight from France to Lisbon is like an hour and a half, something like that. And that's the great thing. Once you're over there, you can just bop around. Right. If we did not have that meetup in Mexico, we probably would have stayed longer and visited some other countries. But we have a meetup in Mexico, so there you go. Check the amount of time you have left on your passport. Yes, Nubianette, thank you. Some countries you need 6 months before it expires. Yes. See, that's why we crowdsource around here, because we do not have all of the answers.
Yeah.
We looked at that. And we didn't write it down. So yeah, we made sure we've got 5 years, because it's 10 years, 7 years, something like that. I don't know. Something like that, yeah, still on our passport.
Mine has to be renewed in 2028.
2028. So we're both 2028. So we're good. 5 years on our passports. But yes, when we were applying for our Mexican residency, they wanted our passport to have greater than 6 months on there. And so does Portugal.
But also what I plan on doing, I mean, I know I don't have to since I'm moving, but I will always keep my driver's license up to date.
Ah.
I mean, because Colorado, you can do it online.
Yes.
So, I'll just keep it up to date. I'll pay the fee, the driver's license fee, just to make sure I have a valid, up to date driver's license.
Now, how we will receive that driver's license is another story. And so the other thing on our list is check out the mail system and also go into the Facebook groups to see. We are very spoiled in America. We used to pride ourselves on our postal system, right? It used to be part of the thing.
Mhm.
We've got some groups here who are trying to destroy it, but we won't talk about that here.
No.
We still get our mail and we still get it at an inexpensive price. But that is not the case in every country.
No, but the thing about Colorado too is my driver's license is on that app.
Right.
So
Right. So we have a digital ID. However, we still want the physical one. And
Well,
and other things. So check out the mail system when you go. And talk to folks in the Facebook group, because just because they say they have a mail system does not mean that it meets the same expectations that you may have as an American. Passport and visas work hand in hand, or can it be either or?
you need to go on.
No, and yes.
So your passport, your valid passport is what you do to show the country who you are and where you're from and stuff like that. They issue you a visa if they honor you with a visa to enter their country for a period of time. It used to be in the United States, we would go across the border and you
To
have your
Mexico
passport.
and Canada.
And sometimes they would check it. Sometimes they wouldn't even check it.
You didn't have to have it. Back in the day, you did
Depending
not
on
have to
where
have
you
a
were going.
passport
Yeah.
to go to Mexico or Canada. To cross that border. You just didn't. And then after 9/11, you did. So the biggest difference, passports are given by your home country. All right. They are a universal identification system. Having a passport is a privilege. Every American does not automatically get a passport. If you owe taxes, if you owe back child support, you ain't getting a passport.
Nope.
And so the passport is also a way to say this person so far is not a criminal. And so we're going to give them this passport and they can show it. Everybody recognizes that this is the identification card of the United States. And this person is allowed to travel because they're not a bad guy.
Right.
Or they ain't been caught.
And believe me, when you give them the passport and they run your passport, they know everything about you.
They do. They do.
Anything that you've done in the world, they
do.
know you've done it.
Now, visas, on the other hand, that is the permission that the other country gives you to come into their country, right? Passports from our country, visas from the other country. There are different kinds of visas. There are student visas. Yeah. There are tourist visas, which is what we're used to and which we usually get automatically without really filling out anything but some paperwork on the plane, right? We don't have to go through a lot of rigmarole most times, the tourist visa. And then there's also a residency visa, right? There's different types of residency visas. So we are going to Portugal on a tourist visa. We didn't have to fill out anything because we're privileged Americans. We will fill out something on the plane. We will land. We will give them that piece of paper. We will show them our passport, and they will say, welcome.
And stamp it.
And stamp it, because we like to collect those stamps, right? Now, if we wanted to live there, we would have to get permission for a residency visa. All right. We're not going to go into all the different types of resident. That'll be another video, but we would have to ask for a residency visa. So when we go to Mexico, we are not going to Mexico on a tourist visa. We're going on a permanent residency visa, which we will exchange for our green card. So we will do a video about that whole process as well. But yeah, so that is the difference between a visa and a passport. And of course, we got our community helping folks out in the chat because that's what we do.
And you should always have a passport and always keep it valid. You should always do that.
Folks, we don't know what's happening in this world. And things just seem crazy and out of control. So we like to I used to have what we call a go bag, like a bag of clothes, cash, passports, in case stuff jumps off And we just need to go with a credit card that we keep valid, right? I don't mean to be an alarmist, but things happen. Yes. Greta. Yes, yes, yes. When we were in Mexico, and my husband does not have big feet. He does not. In my opinion, he has small feet. But could you find some sandals to fit you? No, no. So if you are going to a country to explore and you plan to move there, yes, do they have clothing in your size? The indigenous folks who are in Mexico tend to be small people. Some Asian countries tend to be small people. If you are 6 feet with size 12 feet, like my daddy, you in trouble. If you have bigger bra size or something like that, you may be in trouble. So check that out. We're going to check that out when we're there. When we were in Europe, there really wasn't an issue as far as shoes nor clothing the last time we were there. But Mexico, there was.
Also about shoes and stuff. So if your destination is Europe, and if you've never been to Europe, don't wear spiked heels.
Oh, yes, on
Do
our
not.
list.
Do not wear spiked heels, because most of the streets over in Europe are cobblestone, and we ain't used to cobblestone. So you need non-slippery shoes. Showing there.
Okay,
Wow.
we look like
That
we're
was
back.
weird.
We look like we're back.
But look
Let
at
us
the-
know
Look at that.
if you can see us or hear us.
Yeah, we lost internet.
We
It
lost
just popped
internet.
off.
Okay, looks like we're back. It looks like we're back.
Wow.
You're frozen. Okay, are we back? Hopefully we are. Let us know in the chat. So yeah, Greta was saying that she couldn't find her shoe size in Mexico. We could not find his shoe size in Mexico.
Mm-mm.
One of my white internet friends in Portugal, she went to the hair salon in the Algarve, and there was a wall of weave hair of various textures and colors. No way. They also had Mazzani. So Mazzani must be a brand that I don't use because I'm probably cheap. But yeah, Nubianet, let us know. And in the Algarve. So for
Algarve?
those
Yeah.
folks who don't know, the Algarve is the southernmost part of Portugal. And it's when you see all of those beautiful, not the big wave beaches, but the beautiful beaches with the rock formations and all of that, that is the Algarve. Very expensive now. A lot of the golden visa people bought up a bunch of property and drove up prices, et cetera, et cetera. And so would not expect to see a lot of POC type products in the Algarve necessarily, but good to know. So I'm going to go down to the end, and it looks like you're back. Okay, great. Let's go back to where we were. Shoes, internet friends. Great. I didn't know that, Greta. We might have peeps in common. Okay. DM me on Instagram. I'm just Talisi Vincent at Instagram, and let me know who your people are, because we joke that there's 200 Black folks in the Denver area that are out there doing things, and we see each other at all the same events and fundraisers and things. So I love it. I love it. If you had to rent a car, could you use your U.S. driver's license or apply for an international one?
When we looked at it, I think you can use your American license. I don't know if you have to pay an extra fee to the rental car service or what, but I know, and one of the things they ask us when you are going to put in for a visa, they had a fee that you could pay them to like transfer your driver's license to Portugal. So I think you can drive with an American license, but you probably have to pay an extra fee to the rental car company, whoever you're renting from. Don't take my word for.
So we rented a
I'm not
car
totally
in South
sure.
Africa and drove on the wrong side of the street.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. So we drove on the wrong side of the street. I don't remember them charging us extra. I know I didn't have an international driver's license because I didn't even know that was a thing. I was such a newbie then. I didn't even know that was a thing. So I pulled out my Colorado driver's license. They were fine with that. I think if you are younger, I would get an international driver's license. When I say younger, I mean under 30. Because, under 25 here, you can't even rent a car, right? So I think if you're younger, I'd get an international driver's license. But otherwise, we probably will not get one until we move. So renting a car has not been a problem. I'm not sure if we faced, extra fees or not, because when you're on vacation, you kind of don't pay attention to that, unfortunately. Also, Portugal will take your American driver's license. Tip for another American who moved to Portugal was to get a replacement driver's license. Yes. Then give Portugal your old one. So, and I don't know that I want to give up my American driver's license.
I mean, if you're living there, but I always plan on holding on to mine.
Yeah. I use my passport for my domestic travel as well. So do I. I do find it to be easier. Can my birth certificate sub for a passport? Latanya, baby, no.
No.
We love you. No.
But you do need your birth certificate in order to get a passport.
Yes. Take your birth certificate, take your behind down to the post office down there in Long Beach and get your passport, baby. I think it's about, I don't know, $200.
You can fill it out online.
You can fill that online. $200? I don't know.
I think it was
the renewal.
$160, $180. It might be up to $200, but it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's definitely worth it.
And then the renewals obviously are less expensive. The other thing is, and Greta brought this up, TSA pre-check and global entry. So we have pre-check, did not know about global entry. We applied and paid for global entry and then made an appointment that we thought was for this Wednesday or Thursday. It was for January 27th, 2023. Yes. They were 1 year out.
But there's a way around it.
Okay. What did you find out?
So what it is we can actually get a global entry since we've already paid for it and stuff. We can apply or ask for it on our return to the United States. So when we come to customs in the United States, we can have the arrangement of having it done, and it's done then instantly instead of waiting to go to a facility here in the United States to have it done. That's what costs. That's what takes the time. Yeah. And they kind of encourage you to do it when you're coming back into the United States.
Yeah.
Because it's done instantly.
So since we already paid the $100, I guess we just leave the appointment just in case.
Yeah, you can leave the appointment, let them know that you had an appointment, show them the paperwork or whatever for the appointment, and they'll do it right there.
So we'll let you know how that goes whenever we come back to the States. And we don't know when that's going to be.
Yeah.
So Greta's saying, I think I will be looking at dual residency, both in Mexico and Portugal. And Mexico City is your city, huh? Okay. I ain't mad at you, girl. I think I'm going to love Mexico City too. I haven't been, but we are also looking at dual residency. We believe that it's going to be Mexico and Portugal.
Not citizenship.
Residency. Yeah. And so we'll see. Follow us. We will see. I'm so excited. And I truly did not even consider dual residency. My hubby didn't consider dual residency until Picky Girl travels the world. I hate to keep bringing her up, but when you know brilliance, you just mention it. Okay. And she's brilliant. And she was talking about that, especially when she got stuck in China during the pandemic, during the height of the pandemic, before we had a vaccine, right? And so she was trying to get back to this side of the world. And, everything was shut down. The only people who could get in and out of countries were people who legally had the right to
Residents.
be
You
in
had to
that
have
country.
residents.
You
Yeah.
had to have residency. And so that was an aha moment for me. Like, okay, I didn't know that was a thing. Why wouldn't it be a thing? But if you've just never thought of it, you just never thought of it, right? And so, yes, citizenship is a long, drawn out process, and that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about residency. Here in America, we call that a green card holder, right? Green cards. So that's residency, legal residency. And so that's what we're talking about. And so, yay, Greta. We're going to be seeing each other both in Portugal and Mexico. I see. So yeah, we got to connect. DM me definitely. So, so $20, that's a good way to look at it. That is a good, yeah, totally worth it. Totally worth it. As of now, you have no choice. If you want a Portuguese driver's license, you have to. I know. That's what I heard. So we follow Good Morning Portugal. I think Expats Portugal. I think that's what it's called. And they have a membership, and you get access to vendors and things like that. But they also have a lot of information. And so, yeah. Yeah. I know.
You can have a copy of your driver's license. So you have two. Just do. I plan on having that.
So you can drive with your, okay. So we're all answering the same questions. That's great. You can keep your US driver's license. Okay. After 6 months. And when you get your Portuguese residency, you'll need a Portuguese license if you plan to drive. And they were having, thank you, Kathleen, for that. They were having, the last time I checked, a long wait. There were folks who were chiming in saying that they had been waiting for 4 or 5 months to get an appointment for their driver's license. So I'm not in a hurry, but we do have somebody who's going to be helping us with that whole process when we get there. So we'll see. I haven't been to Mexico City either, just from research. I know I will love it. City vibe, culture, right? Public transportation and food. Honey, hush. Mexican food in my mind is a food group. Being a SoCal girl, how many times have we had tacos since we've been here?
Too many.
I'm sorry, how many?
Too many.
All right. What else is on our list? Okay. So once you get there, what are we looking at? We're so off topic. Okay. Once you get there, we said you've checked out the weather and hopefully you're there in the worst season. You've checked out potential neighborhoods during different parts of the day. You've checked out each neighborhood and that they have the services that you need within a reasonable walking distance. You've checked out to make sure that they have your medications available there. You looked on the list before you went. Now you're making sure that in real life, they're there. You're checking out where the public transportation is. And then the next thing on our list, is it walkable for you? We can go there and we can say all day long that it is walkable for us. We don't have any physical impairments. Our knees are in good shape for our age, right? Et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure that it is walkable for you. And so that is going to be very important. We hear Portugal, the city of Lisbon proper has very steep,
hilly, yes,
very steep, like the Bay Area, Nubianet, right? Very steep cobblestone streets that when it rains get slippery. How slippery? Like, what are we talking about? So I hope that it rains while we're there, and I'm gonna check that out. I want to see, and that doesn't mean Portugal's off the list. That means that neighborhood in Portugal is off the list. That's what that means. Noise level and traffic. I become immune to noise, especially to like traffic noise and stuff like that. Because you lived behind a fire department for a couple of years.
Yeah, never bothered me.
See? So it's all in what it depends. And then banking.
It depends on the type of noise.
The type of
if
noise.
If they partying and having a siesta or whatever, and, something you can join in on too, that's fine. Yeah. I don't mind that. I mean, I ain't got nowhere to be. I ain't got to get up in the morning and go to work and do this and do that. So, hey, enjoy.
However, are your neighbors in a perpetual fight?
Yeah, that's
Throwing things, slamming things, blah, blah, blah. Or are they in a band and they're practicing the drums all the time? And is that going to be okay? Yes. Is that going to be okay for you?
he's done by 10 o'clock though.
He's done by 10 o'clock. Yep.
And he's not a bad bass guitar or drummer. He sounds pretty good.
Oh yeah, he's a good musician at least, right? So yeah, you know, what is walkable for you? What is walkable for you? Mexico City is not friendly if you have any kind of walking impairment. Their sidewalks are not well maintained. But now, as far as roots growing up and messing up the sidewalks in Southern California, we're used to that. Denver, we're used to that. But one of the things that we saw when we were in Mexico are sometimes like the utility holes, the cover's missing, where you could break something if you don't see that hole. So, you know, if that's going to be an issue for you, then maybe that's not the city. So those are the things you need to check out. What's next on our list? Banking and access to your money. Does the neighborhood that you are in have a bank? We know from the United States, if you're in the hood, you might not have access to a bank. You might have access to a payday loan place, but is there a bank? Is there a branch in the neighborhood that you can have access to your money? The next thing on our list, because you haven't pulled yours up, is find a realtor that you trust who understands what you're looking for, understands the real estate market in the areas you're looking at, and or the rental market. Okay. Because for us and Portugal to get our residency visa, we're going to need to have probably a 12-month lease.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sign a 12-month lease 4 months before we get there and have to pay rent on 4 months for nothing. So we're going to need a real estate person who we trust,
who we trust, and we can work with and make sure they're going after what we want.
So we've gotten my doctor gave me the name and number of a friend of his who's a real estate agent in Lisbon. If y'all know somebody, drop it in the chat and we'll check them out as well. Because unlike here, where you have the MLS and an agent may show you anything that is listed, in a lot of other countries, they will only show you things that they're going to get credit for, commission on, etc., or they have access to, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm ready to build up my glutes, right, and get to moving. I'm good. I'm all about it, but not everybody, right?
Try to get yourself physically ready for wherever you want to go to.
I mean, that's a good point. If you don't want that to be a hindrance.
Yeah, you want to start getting yourself to where you need to be or where you want to be, you know.
Nubianette, we're going to try because I love walking hills. It's better than jogging and stuff on my body. And so that's my main form of exercise. I walk fast and I like hills, but I don't want to slip back down the hill as we're going. So the last thing on our list was.
So if you have a little furry friend that you want to take along with you, and you can, a lot of countries are animal friendly, but you have to know all the different things that you need to put in place to take your dog or your cat or whatever you got to take with you. Get that passport, the doggy passport for your dog and stuff. You know, check with the veterinarians to make sure that they are okay and able to travel.
Yep.
If they need shots of any kind, rabies shots, look and see what the rules are for the country that you're going to go to bring them, and you know, all the paperwork that's needed to bring them. Make sure they can travel. Is there a certain period or time of year that they need to travel, because you just don't want to throw your animal, especially if they got to go into cargo and not small enough to sit on the seat with you. Then you want to make sure that they're going to be okay and comfortable where they're going to be placed. So
we did not think of that, and that changed our plans. So Frisco is our dog, and we really want to bring him with us. And so the person who is working with us on the visa process, once we knew that he was going to have to go in the cargo hold because he's 30 something pounds. But she said, you don't want to travel when it's too hot or too cold.
mhm.
So that means spring or fall. Well, it was already the beginning of spring, so we couldn't make things happen that fast. So fall is our timeline. So fall is the move that we're going to have to make if we want to bring Frisco with us, if the vet says he is, because he's kind of old, but he's our baby, our furry baby. So if the vet gives us the okay, we're going to do everything we can. But yeah, doggy
Yeah,
passport.
and make sure the place you're staying will accept pets.
Yes.
Because you don't want to get your dog over there or your cat or whatever they say. Oh, no, you can't bring them in there. So you
Right.
want to make sure that they're welcome too.
Exactly. So that's all that we had, folks. And we have been talking for an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry that it's so long, but let's just review. The first thing that we did was to narrow down the globe down to a few countries that you want to explore. And how do you do that? You write down a list of all the things that you want to consider, right? The next thing, once you've chosen the places, is how to plan for your visit. And so we have a list of all the things to plan for your visit, checking out the entry requirements, the time of year you want to travel, make sure you got your healthcare services and insurance in place, your travel, healthcare insurance, and cell phone coverage, access to your money. And then when you get there to do your exploratory trip, what are you going to check out? Right? We're going to check out our neighborhoods. We're going to make sure that they're walkable, that they have all the services and medication that we need, accessible healthcare, etc., access to transportation, access to our money. We're going to find a realtor, and last but not least, we're going to check out the doggy situation there in the city. And that is all we got, folks.
Well, just a quick thing too. If you're still working, most of your insurance coverage will cover you on vacations or like an exploratory trip while you're gone. So you should be okay. I mean, the whole time we traveled to Europe, we were covered through my employer. So, and I did check to make sure that was the case. You want to make sure that you're covered once you leave the shores of the United States.
Yes.
So, and most of them, they'll tell you, yeah, you're covered because it's just a short stay.
Right.
But if once you say I'm moving and you leave that job, you're not going to.
It's a different story.
It's a different story.
And Medicare,
does not cover.
It does not cover you overseas, right? So you want to have your travel health insurance. That's a good point. Animal passport, and that's all we have. Do you have any other questions on how to do an exploratory trip when you're planning to move abroad? Because if you do, this is the time. Don't leave here and not know, not have the questions answered that you want. So what to watch next? There's two things that we want to bring up. One is best cities to retire for Black folks, and we dropped that link in the description. And the reason why we said for Black folks is because we have a different experience. We have a different experience here in America, and we have a different experience when we travel. And so, yeah, that's why I said for Black folks. And also, I did an interview on Picky Girl Travels the World that also is in the description, Planning for Portugal, where we talk about a lot more about the political climate and things like that. Other than that, the Ready to Retire Toolkit is there, and we go live every Sunday at 1:30. If you have not yet liked this video, please like it.
And hit the thumbs up.
Yes, if you're getting good information, please subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you are alerted every time we go live. Definitely, we will probably be doing a little intermittent video before we go live next week once we get to Portugal. So stay tuned for that.
Other than that,
Otherwise,
we'll see you from Portugal.
we will see you next time from Portugal. Bye, y'all. See ya.